Good afternoon. This is Mr. Benchwork here with another track plan. This time I've got an enormous O-scale layout that I'm working on. And I do apologize for having posted a lot of track planning videos and not a whole lot of benchwork construction videos lately, but that's just kind of how it rolls sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through the layout, give the client an understanding what's going on. And very likely some of this stuff will change, so be on the lookout for a second video updating this particular track plan before I end up building it later on this year. So we're going to go ahead and start here up in this yard area. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So what we got going on right to left, we got a yard switcher track back here. And what this is we've got this bright red section over here in the corner here. And what that is that signifying the breakthrough between the backdrop. And what that does is that turns this layout into a loop. It also will help a little bit with the person trying to operate the yard as a yard. So they've got a little bit of a run through to pull trains in and out. It's one of the limitations of this layout is there's only so much space for yard, and we need some lengthy yards. So these tracks going from the left to right are almost 20 feet long. And then we've got one main line and then a couple sidings. We've got room for a train station over here as well. So as I said, we've got a dedicated yard switcher track here. And then over here on the left-hand side, we have a programming track / another yard switcher track. And I have left the area underneath it open, which is almost 4 square feet. This is going to be a good area to put some sort of industry. This is going to be a place to park some box cars or something like that. But I'm keeping it kind of generic just so you can leave it open for your own interpretation and your ideas. And that's going to be the case through a lot of this layout. I didn't go crazy with adding a lot of detail, specific buildings and towns and stuff like that. Mostly because I really don't know a whole heck of a lot what's going on, and for the town area, which I don't want to put the buildings in one specific area because they're gonna move around a little bit inevitably. So I do have a turntable over here, and this particular turntable is a 24-inch Millhouse River Studios turntable. However, I did put the 18-inch Ross turntable in here as well, overlaying it just so you can see the size difference. But because you have the area, it's better to go with a little bit larger of a turntable. It gives you a little more options as far as being able to turn trains around. And honestly, you've got the room, so you might as well enjoy it. Moving down here, we've got a lumber mill and transport, and that's backed up to a mountain area with a very short tunnel. So this performs two things. One is it gives a visual backdrop for the lumber mill. You can put some crews cutting trees down on the top of the mountain, something like that. And it also acts as a visual separator. So we're trying to jam quite a bit into this layout. So putting this visual separator in here basically deletes a bunch of miles on track and allows us to go to the next scene. So I do have your 8-foot long bridge here in black. So this is going to fit pretty well. We might actually shift this over a little bit more towards the foreground. I'm still playing with things a little bit, but it fits very well, and it's going to be a great visual scene that's got a mountain on either end of it, so it's got some presence. It's got purpose there. Again, we're going through another mountain, and then we're going to go into the city area here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is starting right here at the switch and going all the way down through the town, through Johnsonville, and back through into the lower area here. We're at a 2% grade drop, and we're dropping 20 inches from there. So between here and this all the way over here, we're dropping 20 inches. And what that does is that provides me 4 inches of space for bench work underneath the upper layer, and then 16 inches of vertical space for your mountain scenery, other things. So that gives you plenty of space for both. Over in this area, it'll be a little bit more of a mishmash, more open. So you'll have a taller backdrop down here at the Ketty Y area, followed by it tucking underneath the other portion of the layout a little bit, coming back out, and then finally diving into the other side of the benchwork. All right, so back to where I was. So I was in the Johnsonville area. So this is the big town area. As I am typing here, this is almost 80 square feet of town area. So this is plenty for all of your little structures. I just put 2 roads in here just to kind of give you an idea of where placement might be. Also keep in mind that this is all going to be graded at 2% going down the whole way through this town. So very likely this road area here will be an underpass, whereas these areas over here will most likely be grade crossings. And that actually helps the town with some visual presence. It'll give you a little bit of forced perspective, especially from the dark purple area here, which is going to be where you're going to set your controls and things like that. This is kind of be home base, as it were. If you got a coffee cup, that's probably where you're going to put it. So again, we're going down 2% this whole way. This is also serving, Johnsonville is also serving as your passing siding area. So this is almost 20 feet from end to end. So it will allow you to take a train that is, any train that is able to fit in either yard and pass them by each other going through the Johnsonville area. So again, we're going to dive into another tunnel. This one is significantly longer, but this time it's going to be open to the backside here. So you'll have basically like a half tunnel opening. So you'll be able to see it from where normally the fascia would be. And what this does is it allows you to grab a train if it derails or something else happens. And then also if you have the kiddos coming over, they like to watch trains run through tunnels, and that would be a good area for that. If you wanted to throw in some Easter eggs and maybe a gold miner popping through a little tunnel inside the tunnel, that might be a cute area to do something like that. So we're going to pop out here, and we're going to come into the Ketty Y area. So we're not able to model everything for the Ketty Y. We just do not have the room, but we will be able to give it a pretty good sense of presence here and model most of it. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to turn some things off here real quick, and then we'll get back going here with the tour. So I'm going to do... There we go. All right, so continuing on. So again, we've got the tunnel, or coming out onto the Ketty Y. And the nice thing about the Ketty Y is it's split, it's 2 bridges, it's got some nice visual presence. So this area of bench work is probably going to drop pretty far down. It might be 12 or 18 inches off the floor, depending on where we end up with final heights for the bench work. We don't know what the upper level is going to be at. So whatever that is, this track will sit, once it gets up here north, it'll be 20 inches below that main deck. So if we put the main deck at 48 inches, this is going to sit at 28 inches off the floor. So we'll have to play with that height a little bit to find a happy place where you can comfortably reach everything and visually where everything looks really good. So again, Ketty Y, we've got as much of it built as we possibly can. We're diving into a tunnel here. This area actually goes into a tunnel as well. I must have the tunnel section on the wrong layer, but it is diving into a tunnel here as well. And then we've got the Feather River modeled in a significant area. Keep in mind, all of this isn't going to be flat. This is all going to be mountainous. It's all going to have visual and physical height separation. But it's really hard to model that in this program without going into a lot of crazy detail. So again, we're going to be following the river valley. And I'm modeling that simply here on this drawing just to give you some presence. Let me zoom out a little bit here for you. So again, the river is going to appear and then disappear, and then it'll reappear over here. that gives you some just the visual presence. Very simple. You wanted this area to be mostly just scenic, so it's kind of what I'm modeling here. And keep in mind, from the top of track to the bottom of the benchwork on the next layer, you will have roughly 16 inches to play with, and then we can go down as well a bit, so you have further modeling room below the track level as well. So we'll play with those numbers a little bit to fine tune it to make sure it is where it needs to be. So once we get down here, we're around the corner, we're through the scenic of the river area, we're going to dive into another tunnel, and then we're going to pop into a helix. Again, from here, we're going to start probably right about here. We're going to go up at roughly a 2% grade. And keep in mind, both grades going up and down is at 2%. So we're going to be doing pretty good as far as being able to run some lengthy trains, especially with O-scale. O-scale is a little more liberal. You can often run 6%, no big deal. So anyway, we're starting the grade here. We're going up. You'll notice that the track is not layered on top of itself. That is done on purpose. So if we do need to run the grades a little tighter, we can. But it also makes it a little easier to construct. So this is all in a tunnel area here, but it's very likely, again, like it is over here on this other area, there's going to be an exposed area to the side of the fascia, so you can see the train going through the helix and going up the ramps, so you're not losing track of your train. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the layers back on again. So we've got So we go through the helix, and then we're going to pop up here. And what's going on over here is I've got another siding. This one is fairly short this time. And that is actually to support the gold mine and transport area. This particular track, let's see if I can zoom in a little closer so you can see it better. There we go. So this particular track area here, that is actually a dead end. It ends at that tunnel opening. And this might actually be a good area if you wanted to do some narrow gauge modeling or something. This whole loop area would actually be a good spot for that. We'd have to play with the track manufacturer. I don't think Ross makes narrow gauge track, but we can look around and see what we can come up with and see if we can't figure something out for you. But anyway, this would be a great area for gold mine. We've got a visual separator with the mountain. We've got more area for more scenic stuff. So this is going to be a good area for modeling, maybe a stagecoach line or something like that if you want to model something that's a little old-timey or whimsical. But the idea here is to get a visual separator so things are separated out. The train is going to pop through here and then come out on the upper level. Now you'll notice that this area here is actually the second layer. So let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Sorry, this thing is playing games with me. But this whole section here is all going to be 20 inches above this lower section, but it is actually the same height as this yard where we started doing our tour. So this yard over here, again, we've got 4 tracks, so 1 main line, 3 sidings. You can decide which is which. We do have room for a second turntable, another 24-inch turntable up here in the corner. This doesn't have to be here. We can just omit this and turn this into another industry. Or we can make that the yard switcher track and then eliminate this and turn this more into more orchards or something like that if you would like. We do have the ability, as you had requested, to be able to put some sort of train in a shorter train that's a freight train with the passenger train able to pass by. So the freight train would sit somewhere on, this section of track here, and then the passenger train would roll through this section of track. Keep in mind that absolutely every single piece of track on this layout is 072 or larger. I've actually used a lot of 0128 on this layout as well, which is just absolutely enormous. But what it does is it softens the grades, it softens the look and feel. It's going to make your engines and trains look and run better. Overall, it's better to use the larger track where we can. And since you have the blessing of space, we're going to go ahead and do that. So again, I've got your yard is fairly basic, but I do have runaround sidings, so you can still do some switching. And I do have runarounds on both yards. I do have your grain bins, and this whole area here is just going to be grain and fruit. I did put a siding over here, so if you wanted to put loads and unloads or put some sort of industry building over here, you can. I wasn't quite sure if I should put it to the outside or if I should put it to the inside. We can play with that a little bit and move around if you want. We can also pull this track all the way to the front edge and then put everything in the background if you want. This track here just dies into the backdrop, like it just keeps on going. But the idea is it's a visual separator. Again, it's a scene break. So essentially the layout starts here, goes all the way around, and then ends over here. But it's as far as running is concerned, this layout's going to be pretty good for that because you're going to be able to build a couple trains here. And so, for example, you'll have 2 freight trains, 2 passenger trains. So you'll set 1 passenger train to just run consistently. And then you'll pull out a freight train where you can run to industry, build or break a train, service all the industries along the way. We might actually add an industry or 2 within the town once I have a better idea of what your needs are there. But you'll be able to run that freight train around while the passenger train continues to run. And then if you really want to get complicated, if you got an extra person or 2 running trains with you, you can actually run opposing trains. So this the way I have it set up here is you actually could run passenger trains going northbound or southbound or eastbound or westbound, depending on how you will look at it. But in opposing directions, you will need a secondary operator, though, because remember, you are going to have backdrops on a majority of this layout, so you will not be able to see from one yard to the other yard without some sort of camera system or somebody there to assist you. But that's part of what makes the layout fun. So another thing to consider, we had some areas where you wanted nothing built. So we've got viewing areas, we've got an area for a nice deep shelf here. This walkway here, I believe, is 32 or 33 inches wide. Let me see if I can pull a tape measure out here real quick. Let's do that, and then we'll zoom in. So we got 30 inches there, and then running into around the corner, this is 37, midpoint, 37 again. Go up to the top here, got 36. Now keep in mind that this benchwork over here is only 18 inches deep. So if you did want to gain some depth on this benchwork, we could make this 30 inches here and gain about 6 inches. So we could go to 24-inch deep benchwork on this edge. I didn't put it there because we really don't need it, but if you want it, we can put it there. Conversely, we could also expand the town area as well. We could expand that area by about 6 inches over here. So really depends on you, but we've got a nice comfortable space here, 36 inches. This area here in the corner where you're going to spend probably a good amount of your time, we got 50 inches. And then the narrow spot's going to be here. That's at 33 inches. So really no concerns there. I do have this little bit of a jog in the benchwork here, and that is to support the 24-inch turntable. If you did decide to omit the turntable altogether or turn this into an 18-inch turntable, we could very easily lop this off here, put it in a straight line, and square this up a little bit. But that's entirely up to you. I thought having the turntable there, though, was a good idea. It's just good practice. So we got 30 inches here, and then going on the angle area, we're almost at 30 inches as well. So, and it's going to continue the same all the way down. Again, 30 inches. And then this area down here opens up a little bit to 36 inches, which makes it fairly comfortable. And with the Caddy Y there, you want a little bit extra distance so you can lean back a little further and get pictures or vistas as your trains are passing by and that sort of thing. Up here at the top of the layout, I did maintain the 24-inch clearance here against the wall, and that goes all the way to the door. I kept it as tightly as I could. I did have to narrow it down a little bit here because I just didn't have room for the yard otherwise. So this area here, I did put a bit of an angle, but you still have plenty of access. With a 36-inch door, you're still able to open it over halfway if it goes that way. And if it's going the other direction, you've got plenty of clearance. I did pull this back here away from the door as well by about a foot. And what that does is that actually makes it easier for you to reach into these other areas. So we've got some options here. Realistically, this whole layout is really, really big. So you're probably going to need a step stool to reach some things. But overall, it's going to be, visually, it's going to be a pretty impressive layout. Over here on the far left side, I did keep the area open, the 5 feet for your workbench area. And then we've got a 4-foot aisleway over here. We're almost 4 feet, it's 46 inches. Down here, we've got just a little over 24 inches between the wall and the edge of the benchwork. So this is really the narrowest area of the whole layout. We do have 24 inches of clearance here. And then we've also got 24 inches of clearance over here as well, all the way around. So your HVAC stuff, you'll have plenty of clearance, both for getting around it and then also just for air to move around, that sort of thing. We do have a tight squeeze over here. It's about 20 inches between that corner and the edge of the layout. I can just move Johnsonville out. I do have that 6 inches over here. I could just take, this whole Johnsonville area and just shove it this way 6 inches to open this up a little bit if you want. I don't know that it's really necessary, but it's up to you. Let me know, and we'll go from there. But anyway, I hope this was helpful, and if you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I promise I will have some construction videos coming up soon. I do have about 20 videos filmed. I just haven't had a chance to edit them because I've been busy designing the largest layouts of my life, as well as building stuff, trying to get it out the door as quickly as we can. We've had a banner year, and even with 2 employees, I did hire a second person. There is still a lot going on. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.